The northern Spanish region of Catalonia is once again agitating to become independent from the rest of the country. Catalonia already has its own parliament and enjoys a good deal of autonomy. But as the richest and most industrialised region of Spain, it complains that it pays far more to the central government in Madrid than it gets back. Catalans were heartened by the recent independence referendum in Scotland, even though it was a no vote. And the president of Catalonia, Alfred Bosch, has now signed a decree calling for a referendum on independence from Spain in November.
2 years ago, I called early elections. My purpose was to know how large the social majority in favour of the right of self-determination was. The turnout was the highest in 3 decades. The outcome was clear. More than 2/3 of the members of parliament were in favour of the right to decide our political future. As a consequence of all that, today I called a consultation on November 9 to know the opinion of the Catalan people above 16 about the question on self-determination. That question was agreed with the majority of the Catalan political forces in December last year.
And he had this message for the leaders of the European Union.
We stand for democracy, dialogue and peace. We believe that political issues must be resolved by negotiation and civilized attitudes. And we know that democracy is the most civilized way to resolve difficulties between nations. This is our will, and this is also our commitment.
It was the president of Catalonia, Alfred Bosch, but the Spanish government has indicated that it will block the vote, which it calls illegal. Let's hear first from Juan Arza. He's on the executive board of Societat Civil Catalana, the civil society movement, which opposes an independence referendum.
I think a referendum like this divides the society in two, forces people to choose between two different and two contradictory options, black or white, yes or no. This is not the way I think problems can be solved.
But this is a non-binding referendum. You could just call it a test of public opinion.
No, for some of their promoters, this is not a non-binding referendum. But for some of them, they are saying publicly, constantly, that this is a binding referendum. So the consequences of this referendum is something we really don't know. So this is not clear for the population of Catalonia. Many people would vote without knowing the real consequences of what they are voting. They are saying that they want us to decide, but they have already decided for us.
So you are saying that the people of Catalonia would vote no to independence in a referendum?
Well, it depends. It depends on who votes, for instance. If everybody votes, I am completely sure that the result would be no. But we don't know if many people will stay at home with many doubts about what they should do. And what we know for sure is that the nationalists are completely mobilized and they will go to vote for sure. So we don't know if we would have a participation as high as in Scotland, for instance. In the elections for the Catalan Parliament, there is always 30-40% of non-participation, and those who participate are much more nationalist than the rest of the general population.
Isn't it therefore the responsibility of people such as yourself who are opposed to independence to get out there and mobilise the voters?
This is what we are trying to do. In fact, this is what we are, as Societat Civil Catalana, our organization, tries to do. Tell people that they have to move, that they have to go outside, express their opinions with liberty. Don't be afraid of being against the politicians in Catalonia, and defend their identity. 70% of the people in Catalonia feel not only Catalan but also Spanish. Only less than 30% of the people in Catalonia feel only Catalan. The majority of the population feels somehow Spanish.
That was Juan Arza on the executive board of Societat Civil Catalana, the civil society movement, which opposes an independence referendum. Well, after the announcement today by the Catalan president, the deputy Spanish Prime Minister, Societat de Santa Maria, expressed the government's disappointment.
Lamentamos profundamente.
We deeply regret and consider as a mistake the initiative of the President of the Generalitat. It splits Catalan society, divides the Catalans, distances them from Europe and from the sentiment of the times.
And on the line now, Alfred Bosch, a Catalan writer and politician and MP in the Spanish Parliament for the left-wing nationalist ERC party. He's joining us from Barcelona. Mr. Bosch, just a point of clarification. This referendum, in your understanding, binding or non-binding?
Well, according to law in the Kingdom of Spain, referendums are non-binding. So, yes, officially this is a referendum or a vote on independence of Catalonia, non-binding in legal terms.
And why do you feel that Catalonia should be independent of the rest of Spain?
Well, first and furthermost, we think we should vote about this, just like the Scots did some days ago. We think we're entitled to that. We think this is free Europe in the 21st century, and that's what we should do, hear the voice of the people. Aside from that, of course, yes, I favor independence. Our party is pro-independence. It has been so during decades. And we think so basically because we believe that we would be better off. Politically, we would be more democratic. We could be more prosperous, adapt to our environment. We are a nation. We have that right, and we want it. We're not more than any other nation, but we're not less compared to any other people.
What about that statistic that our previous speaker gave us, namely that 70% of Catalans regard themselves as Catalan and Spanish, and only 30% of the population regard themselves as just Catalan?
I think that's not fully relevant, because we're not voting about language. We're not voting on ethnic lines. We are voting political options. So we have lots of people who speak Catalan and favor different options, like the person who spoke and myself. And you have lots of people who speak basically Spanish and who favor different options in Catalonia. So it has nothing to do with origin. It has nothing to do with your social, cultural, or national condition. It has to do with a political option. Do you want Catalonia to be free? Yes or not? That's the issue.
Would you be satisfied with more regional autonomy, or does it have to be a break with Spain?
No, we have to have a state of our own. We need statehood. We think it would favor our welfare, our people. We could have a better administration, which could be more just, more fair, and more efficient for everybody. So we are for independence within the European Union, of course. Now, that doesn't mean we want to break anything. That means we want to build. We want to build a new nation. We want to build a free nation with a full state behind it. We think we need it. And we also think we're entitled to that if we choose it. So it's a question of building, of looking towards the future, of being positive about our own country, which is Catalonia.
Mr. Bosch, many thanks. Alfred Bosch, a Catalan writer and politician who favours independence for Catalonia.